What's up everyone, I'm Cobalion Toast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Ultra League featuring the newly buffed Cobalion as well as the previous Pokemon that also shared the exact same typing, Lucario, to see how they perform together in the Ultra League. And on top of that, to make things a bit spicier, I'm going to be running my 100% level 50 Shadow Hypno in the lead, and as well this Hypno does have a legacy move in the form of Psyshock. So straight away you might notice that this team is very weak to the ghost typing. Hypno of course takes super effective damage, and the double fighters in the back can't really deal an awful lot of damage to ghost types either, but despite that we're still able to take on a lot of teams that do have a ghost type, and we're even able to beat a double ghost team, which is pretty crazy considering the team we're running. But with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. Aside from the Swords of Justice trio, which Ultra League Pokemon do you think is the biggest winner of the Season 12 move update? Let me know in the comment section below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle here, we lead into a Steelix, so I'm going to instantly say swap into the Cobalion, and I'm thinking, wait, I could have sworn I double moved this Pokemon, and then I look at the CP and realise I've brought the wrong Cobalion into the battle here. This is actually a hundo I got from a raid quite a long time ago, but it's still at level 20, so we do go down there, and unfortunately this is really not looking good for us. This Granbull goes for the play rough. I can overfarm a ton, and I'm going to go for a charge move here. Pretty awkward timing, but I don't expect them to throw a move, so it actually ends up being pretty good for me. They're going to come back in with Steelix. I switch into the Lucario. This is just going to be a Psychic Fangs, and I can tank that comfortably. They switch into a Swampert here. I'm going for the close combat on the CMP tie. Will they let this go through? They do not. They do use their shield, but fortunately it is a CMP tie, which we won, so they do expend the energy straight away. They go for the Hydro Cannon straight away once again, allowing me to get a full free confusion through here. I'm going to go for 2 confusions, throw the Psyshock just before they reach the next Hydro Cannon. This does take out the Swampert, and can I get to a Focus Blast here? Up against the Steelix, yes I can, and will this KO the Steelix? Yes it does, and somehow we're able to take that game despite ringing the wrong Cobalion there. So Shadow Hypno there coming in clutch with that Focus Blast into the next game, and now we are running the correct Cobalion, and this is actually going to be a full 5-0 set that I'm going to show you guys, and then I will be showing you a few of the more trickier team compositions that I had to face with this team, including a lot of teams running ghost types. So here we led into the Alolan Ninetales. We switch out trying to catch a Weather Ball. They come in with a Scrafty, so I'm going straight for the what is this called? Sacred Sword here. We go for one more double kick, go for another Sacred Sword, and if this Scrafty doesn't throw straight away, we're going to be able to get to another Sacred Sword. They don't even have any shields remaining, so we're able to take out the Scrafty, and it had a ton of energy, which is perfect. I'm going to come in with the Hypno here, shield up the first charge move in case it's a Dazzling Gleam. It's just a Weather Ball. I know that I can tank this second Weather Ball, and then I'm going to switch out into the Lucario. My opponent also switches into their Stunfisk here, and well, they get to the Earthquake here. We do correctly shield it up. I'm just going to farm up to the back-to-back close combats. This is easily going to be enough to take out the Stunfisk, and then I do have the second close combat to throw into the Alolan Ninetales, and this will easily take out the Ninetales as well, and I'm able to take that game. So if you're wondering why I'm running close combat on the Lucario, it works a lot better as a closer with the close combat, so I'm running the Cobalion as the safe swap here. So into this next game, my opponent leads with Talonflame. They switch out trying to catch a move here, but I don't fall for it. I switch into my Lucario, and unfortunately they do just barely get to the charge move before I reach a close combat. So I'm going to build up to the back-to-back close combats. This one should be taking out the Registeel, and it does. They come back in with the Talonflame. I've lowered my defense, but I'm able to get to a Shadow Ball here. Shadow Ball is shielded by the Talonflame. Now can I get to another charge move? My opponent is barely not able to farm me down, and they do have to throw a move there if they want to take me out before I get to another charge move. I come in with the Hypno here, go for a side shock, we get the final shield from our opponent, they switch into Greedent, and unfortunately for them, we've got a Cobalion. We completely hardwall this Pokemon. There's nothing they can do other than throw resisted charge moves. They actually go for a crunch, they get a defense drop, but it still doesn't make a difference here. Cobalion is so tanky, we can easily double kick all the way down here. There's literally no point in my opponent staying in here, but they're just desperately trying to play something here, trying to get that win, but they just can't do anything. We get the double kick through, we can go for the Stone Edge straight away into this Talonflame, and we're actually just not going to charge it up here. Stone Edge takes out the Talonflame, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into a Wall Rain. So we do have two better responses to Wall Rain in the back. So eventually I'm going to switch out here, trying to catch a Icicle Spear at a random point in time, but unfortunately they do not throw. They hold on to their energy. They come in with a Virizion, also recently buffed, getting access to that double kick, making it a very strong Pokemon in the Ultra League. Unfortunately, I overfarmed there, and this Virizion does win CMP up against the Cobalion, so they take me out. So I wait out the switch clock, I come back in with the Hypno, and I'm just going to completely confusion farm them down here. They go for the Leaf Blade, they shouldn't be able to reach another Leaf Blade, and they're not able to. Excuse me. They're going to go for a charge move here. It's just an Icicle Spear. I can tank that. I'm going straight for the Focus Blast. And we take out the Wall Rain. And they come in with a Nidoqueen. I'm barely able to get to a Side Shock. I really need this to land. And my opponent no shields it. They obviously weren't expecting the Legacy Side Shock there. And now at this point, I can comfortably counter farm this down. And even though they're going to throw these two charge moves, it doesn't matter. They're not getting to another charge move. And we're able to counter down the Nidoqueen and take that game. So Shadow Hypno, absolutely insane in the Ultra League so far. This time we lead into a Meganium here. We're going to try and catch the Frenzy Plant. They don't throw straight away, and I didn't really expect them to be honest. They come in with a Talonflame. We have the Stone Edge here to hit for massive super effective damage, but they do decide to shield it up. I'm going to let this go through. I think we should just barely survive, and we're able to. I don't quite make the next Stone Edge, but does my opponent respect the damage? They do, and they shield up anyway. I'm going to come in with the Hypno here. This is just going to be a Flame Charge, so I do let it go through. I go for one Confusion, going for the Side Shock here, and then I should be able to get another couple of Confusions in before this Talonflame reaches another charge move, and I'm just going to put it all on the Lucario here. I let the Hypno go down, they switch into the Meganium. I'm going to shield this up. They do have a lot of energy on this Meganium. It's just a Frenzy Plant. They get to another charge move here. I'm just going to shield up once again, and I'm actually going to try and commit to a full counter farm down here as my opponent goes for the charge move straight away. This isn't enough for the Earthquake, and now can I counter farm down this Meganium? I'm able to. They're going to come back in with the Talonflame. I counter that down as well, and my opponent concedes the match. I did actually look this up. There's literally no Pokemon that wants to see a 100 energy Lucario in the Ultra League when shields are down, so my opponent rightfully just concedes the match there. Now into the next game here, we lead into a Shadow Golduck, so I don't think you're ever going to see a matchup like this in the Ultra League again, so a pretty crazy matchup here. They go for the Ice Beam, that does a ton of damage. They switch into a Talonflame, and this is kind of tricky. We're going to go for the Side Shock here. We get the final shield from my opponent, which is perfect. I can come in with the Cobalion. We already know we do tank one Flame Charge, so it's better to let the first one go through. They will reach the next Flame Charge before we get to the Stone Edge, but I can go for one double kick, throw the Stone Edge, and also not take any damage from this Incinerate. Stone Edge takes out the Talonflame, and my opponent has an XL Ariados in the back here. And that is insane. I really did not expect to see that. This might be one of the spiciest opponents I've ever faced in the Ultra League. We land the Stone Edge. Unfortunately, their confusion doesn't register either. I switched to catch the cross poison on my Lucario, and now we are guaranteed to win this game. It's just a matter of whether my opponent wants to make this long or whether they just want to quit out. They're going to go for a lunge. It's double resisted. Everything they throw is double resisted up against Lucario. We go for a Shadow Ball. It is debuff, so it doesn't take them out. They're going to throw even more charge moves. Not really sure why they're doing this, but fair play to them. And we do take that game, but a really spicy team from my opponent there, so GG's to that opponent. And that was going to be the final battle of that set, so we do go 5-0 in this set. And now I'm just going to show you a few more battles up against a lot trickier team compositions. As you may have noticed, we didn't really see any ghost types there. But into the next game, we lead into a wall rain. So I instantly swap here, and my opponent does the same thing, making me think that they're probably also running a double ghost team. So if they switch into the Giratina, then they've probably got a Trevenant in the back. So we go for a Stone Edge there. It does not really do an awful lot of damage, but at the same point, there's the Shadow Sneak also isn't going to be doing a lot of damage either, so we do tank that. We go for the Stone Edge straight away. I think they were just barely at the next Shadow Sneak already, but they're going to overfarm here and throw just before the next Stone Edge, so very good counting by my opponent. Because I'm reading that it is a double ghost team, I'm going to come back in with Hypno, and I'm actually not going to shield this up, because if it is Trevenant, Shadow Ball is going to be doing a ton more damage than that Shadow Sneak, and I was right, it is a Trevenant. I'm going for the side shock here. Can we get a shield? Yes, we can. I'm going to switch into the Lucario here, and now with a shield advantage, we might actually be able to win this, despite facing a double ghost team here. We overfarm, go for the Shadow Ball, but my opponent makes a brilliant catch onto the wall rain here, and now can we counter farm them down before they reach an earthquake? No, we're just barely not able to. This is the powder snow to get to the earthquake, and it is an earthquake, so we have to shield that up. I'm going for the Shadow Ball here, and now I have to make a catch of my own. I go for one counter, and I'm able to catch the Shadow Ball on the Hypno. Anything you can do, I can also do, and here we're going to be able to reach the Shadow Ball, and this will be taking out the Trevenant, and somehow I'm able to beat the double ghost team here with my Hypno double fighting team. Into the next game, we lead into a Cresselia. This is very tricky because Cresselia resists all of the charge moves here from Hypno, and actually the fast move as well, so we're really not going to do an awful lot of damage. I'm going to build up to a Shadow Ball, hoping that potentially we get a shield at least, but we don't. Psyshock doesn't do very much damage. I'm going to switch here, catch the Moonblast onto the Cobalion. It is neutral because of the steel typing. They switch into a Giratina, and this is looking very difficult for me now. They do have a Cresselia and a Giratina, both very strong against every single Pokemon on my team. So we go for the Stone Edge here. We do land it, but once again it doesn't do an awful lot of damage. I'm going to call that they're going for a Dragon Claw here. No shield, but unfortunately it is a Shadow Sneak. But we barely hang on. I get to a Sacred Sword, but they no shield it. They were counting. Very good play there. They don't shield it, and we come back in with the Hypno, going for the Side Shock. We land it, and I don't think we're going to be able to farm them down here. I'm going to let this go through. We barely hang on. We switch into the Lucario, and at this point I do have to start shielding, so I'm going to shield this up. It is another Shadow Sneak, so that is a good shield there. They come back in with the Cresselia here. I'm going straight for the Shadow Ball. If we can land this, this could be really good for us, but unfortunately we're not able to. I'm going to have to shield up this charge move here. It is just a Grass Knot. They do bait me. I'm able to get to another Shadow Ball here up against the Cresselia, and they shield again, which is unfortunate. I was going to catch the move, but they throw one turn early, but it's just a Grass Knot. Do we have a lifeline? No, they switch there. I switch out. Just kind of panicked there. They have an Empoleon, so I'm going to go for the close combat. We take out the Empoleon, but unfortunately we just don't have enough health to take out the Cresselia, so a very difficult team composition to take on there. Not really sure we could have played it an awful lot better than that, but there are going to be team compositions that you just can't beat in the Ultra League and in any league in actual fact. But into this game, We land the Stone Edge onto a Talonflame, completely flipping the game there. They come in with a Trevenant, so once again, just because we've gotten rid of that Talonflame doesn't mean we're in the best position, because Trevenant does beat my entire team. They go for a Seed Bomb bait. I don't want to shield that up. They're going to go for another Seed Bomb, but once again, we will be able to tank this, and I'm able to get to another Stone Edge up against this Trevenant, and we do get a shield from them there. I'm going to instantly swap into the Hypno here. I'm getting off a ton of confusion damage here. Gonna shield this up. It is the Shadow Ball. They come back in with the Wall Rain. I'm gonna go straight for the Focus Blast. They do get to a charge move already. Just an Icicle Spear. We tank that. I'm going for the Focus Blast, and Focus Blast gets shielded by the Wall Rain, but my opponent is gonna panic and throw their energy here. Icicle Spear takes us out. I'm going to come in with the Lucario here, and I can safely shield this up. They're not going to be able to get to another charge move. It is an Earthquake, and at this point we can just counter farm down this Trevenant and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we'll lead into an Alolan Muck. So I'm going to instantly swap into the Cobalion here. And my opponent switches into a Trevenant. So once again, Trevenant, super common Pokemon in the Ultra League. And we're running a team triple week to it. So not the smartest team building by me, but we are going to be able to play around it. They go straight for the Shadow Ball. It does a ton of damage. I'm able to get to another Stone Edge here, and we do land it, and we've put the Trevenant into the yellow, and my opponent throws their energy. They were not counting my my energy there, so we do luckily get them to throw their energy. I'm actually just going to put it all on the Lucario. They go for the Shadow Ball. It does massive damage. I'm able to counter farm them down. They're going to come in with the Alolan Muck here, and rather foolishly I go for a close combat here, and that was a mistake. We do land it. It does massive damage, but it doesn't KO, and now I'm going to get Acid Sprayed. No, my opponent just goes for a Dark Pulse instead. That is giving me a lifeline here. I'm going to shield this up, but I think this Dragon Breath Gyarados is going to be very spammy, and I'm not sure if I'll get to the second close combat here before they reach the Aqua Tail. So I go for the close combat. It gets shielded. I switch into Hypno. They didn't have the move yet, and now it's a CMP tie on the close combat. We win the CMP. We take out the Gyarados, and because we resist the poison jabs, I'm able to counter, farm down the Alolan Muck, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. I nearly threw it away, but somehow still able to come out on top. Into the next game, we lead into a Buzzwole, so a good lead for us. They switch into the Wall Rain here, and the nice thing about the Cobalion is we don't even need to shield this Earthquake. It is super effective. It does a lot of damage, but we do tank it, and I can get to 2 Sacred Swords here before they get to an Icicle Spear, and even then Icicle Spear wouldn't be enough to take us out. I do undercharge there. We're able to get 1 extra double kick in for free. I'm not going to be able to get to this Stone Edge, so I go for the Sacred Sword. We don't get a shield, which is unfortunate. They switch into a Giratina, and now we're in a pretty bad spot here because we have to go for the Shadow Balls, but they're going to be able to easily outpace us to the charge moves here. So I go for the Shadow Ball here. Will my opponent respect it? Yes, they do, and they do shield up here, and at this point, it's not looking good for me. I'm going to shield this up, but they're already at the back-to-back Dragon Claws, so I'm now going to commit both my shields on this Lucario, go for the Shadow Ball. This will get shielded because they have no reason not to, so I switch back into the Hypno. I'm going straight for the Psyshock as the Buzzwole comes back in. Is this enough to take them out? Yes, it is, and now can we get to another Psyshock up against the Giratina? They're already at another charge move. Shadow Sneak lands. It doesn't take me out, but they're even able to get to another charge move, and a Dragon Claw from this range will take out the Hypno, and unfortunately I do lose that game. So once again, Giratina proving to be very problematic for this team. Now into the final battle here, we lead into another Cresselia. Once again, a very problematic Pokemon for this team. I'm going to let them throw their energy into my Hypno and then eventually switch into the Cobalion here, trying to catch a charge move. And they do throw pretty much straight away, so I'm happy with that. They go for a Moonblast. We tank that quite comfortably. All I can do is throw Stone Edges here in this matchup. Stone Edge isn't going to do an awful lot of damage, but otherwise everything else is resisted. They go for another Moonblast. We can tank that, and now I'm going to farm up to another Stone Edge, but I'm just barely outpaced to the next charge move. I shield up the Moonblast, go for another Stone Edge here, and my opponent is still staying in with the Cresselia, making me think that they're probably quite weak to the Hypno, but I was wrong. They come in with Talonflame, and now we go for a Psyshock. We get a shield from my opponent. I should just barely live this charge move if it's a Flame Charge, which it is. I go for a Psyshock here, but unfortunately, I'm probably not going to get the second shield here, and my opponent does let it go through. I am just one double kick away from the Stone Edge, so I come back in with the Cobalion, go for the Stone Edge up against the Cresselia, Talonflame. We take them out. They have a Walrein in the back, a Shadow Walrein at that, so I'm going to come in with the Lucario here. I have to shield up this charge move. It's just an Icicle Spear bait, but because it's now 40 energy for the Icicle Spear, they're not able to reach the Earthquake there, and now at this point it's just going to be a race to the back-to-back charge moves. I go for a Shadow Ball, meaning that I don't lower my defense, and now I'm able to get to a close combat, and close combat takes out the Cresselia, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, then make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you're not yet subscribed and you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications, so that way you're notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that being said, let's get into the shoutouts from my previous video. So obviously, because it's the best looking shiny shadow Pokemon, that's going to be opinion based, and there's no right or wrong answer, so I'm just going to go for the 3 that I would really like to have but I don't have. So firstly, we've got Lucas Thorning, who says easily shiny Shadow Arcanine, and I really like the look of this Pokemon. And next we've got OHR, who says I may be biased because I have one, but shiny Shadow Politoed all day, and I really like the look of this shiny Shadow Pokemon. And finally, we've got Grabby, and I'm going to be focusing on the shiny Shadow Sharpedo. That's certainly a Pokemon I wish I was able to get back when Carvana was in rotation. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.